I invited my girlfriend to move in with me. We've only been dating for a few months, but hey, she needed a bit of help. She was in a rough patch, and I said, "Don't worry, baby. You can live with me." Well, that was before I found out she's not exactly who I thought she was. She's a liar. Let's get into it.
So, a bit of a background. I'm 32, male, live in a small townhome in a quiet place of town. Over the past few months, I've been talking to this wonderful girl, Macy. We clicked instantly, and our first date was magical. We went to this upscale restaurant in the city, and it was just an incredible night filled with genuine conversation and laughter. Since that day, things between us have been great. We've spent most of our free time together, and it feels like we've known each other for years. I've honestly never felt like this about anybody before. Fast forward to a few weeks ago. We were out on another date when Macy mentioned her apartment rent was about to increase. She seemed genuinely stressed about having to search for a new place to stay. Without even thinking it through, I spontaneously just offered her to move in with me. She looked taken aback initially, a mix of surprise and concern, I'd say, but by the end of the night she seemed to warm up to the idea, and we were both excited about this new chapter, and the very next day we started the moving process. I needed to add here that during the moving process, I got a glimpse of her financial situation. It seemed like she had not been able to save much, and I didn't pry, but it was evident. Wanting to help her give a fresh start, I offered to cover the rent for the first few months, and she was hesitant at first, saying she did not want to be a burden, but I assured her it was no problem at all. Now, here's where things get really, complicated. The first week she moved in, things were fine. We were in that honeymoon phase of living together. I'm talking about cooking together, binge-watching shows, and just enjoying each other's company. But as the days turned to weeks, I noticed a change. Macy began inviting people over frequently, and at first I was just a friend or two. I didn't mind because I wanted her to feel at home, but soon enough these get-togethers become loud and lasted until the early morning hours. They left messes behind, ate groceries that I bought, and more often than not, I found myself cleaning up after them the next day. One night, I came home from late work, and it was a shift that was late, to find a full-blown party in progress, and there were people I did not even recognize, music blaring, and they'd even moved stuff around in my house. Macy seemed to be enjoying herself and was surprised when I expressed my frustration. She told me she was just trying to have a bit of fun and that I should loosen up too. I tried to communicate my boundaries and the need for mutual respect of a shared space. Macy seemed understanding and promised that things would change, but not even a week later another unexpected party took place. Adding to this, her financial habits have been concerning. Despite not having to pay rent, I've noticed several packages arriving almost daily, clothing, gadgets, even some luxury items, and when I tried discussing it, she brushed it off, saying she was just treating herself. My friends have been noticing the strain on me. They've told me they're concerned Macy is taking advantage of me, of my generosity, while I have to admit a small part of me is starting to feel the same way. I don't want to be the bad guy here. I genuinely care for Macy and want to support her. But I also don't want to be taken for granted. I know relationships involve compromise and adjustment, but this seems extreme. Update number 1. Hey guys, it's been about a month since I last posted my original post, and wow, a lot has happened. First off, I want to thank everybody who took the time to comment and do other advice. It gave me the courage to address the issues and head on. I finally sat Macy down for a heart-to-heart conversation about everything. The parties, the spending, and her behavior, and at first she seemed defensive and gave me a slew of excuses. She admitted that she's been feeling overwhelmed with her financial situation and has been using parties as a way to so-called escape. She confessed that her part-time job at the clothing store has not been paying her enough, and she's been unsuccessfully hunting for another job since before we started dating. I felt for her truly. Depression is no joke, and I understand everybody copes in their own way. I tried my best to be supportive and offered help to her to get back on her feet, but I also made it clear that boundaries need to be respected, especially when it comes to our shared living spaces. To try and lighten the mood and make her feel better, I took her out shopping the following day. She'd been eyeing this expensive fleece jacket for a while, and I thought, heck, why not? We had a fantastic evening, and it felt like old times, full of laughter and intimacy. However, the next morning brought back the same concerns. I had to leave for work around noon, and Macy was still in bed, seemingly in the same mood from before our talk. There was this sinking feeling in my gut, fearing that our conversation did not have the impact that I hoped for. My concerns were validated when I returned home that day. I'm talking cars parked out front, loud music emanating from our townhome, and there she was, a drunken Macy, and the life of her own party. It felt like a slap in the face, and I tried to remain composed, greeting the guest, but I could not stay there. I retreated to our bedroom, hoping she'd get the hint, and the party went on until after midnight, and I was livid, hurt, and confused. I had made my boundaries so clear, yet she continued to disregard them. Was it deliberate? Was she testing me? The once enchanting woman I fell for seemed like a stranger, always oscillating between partying hard and wallowing in her financial woes. The Macy I knew was passionate, loving, understanding. This new Macy? Ugh, unpredictable. Always partying or deeply sad about money, and I don't even know if she realized how much she's changing or if she even cares. It's been hard to reconcile these two very different versions of her. My trust is shaken. I've been avoiding confrontation, wondering if I've somehow contributed to this change. Did I enable her? Is it my fault for not setting strict boundaries? I'm in a whirlwind of emotions, and I find myself questioning if this relationship has a future. The love and connections we once shared feels fragile, overshadowed by this new dynamic, and I'm at a crossroads. Do I stick around, hoping things will improve, or do I accept that maybe there's just, we're not meant to be? So, after this update, what's your take? Am I being too harsh on Macy, or is it time for a little bit of tough love? Let me know what you would do in the comment section below. Update number 2. Hey guys, 2 weeks have passed since my last post, and the situation's escalated beyond what I could ever imagine. First, thanks again for this community, for all the comments and whatnot you've left advice for me. A few days ago, I started noticing some of my belongings going missing. Not daily essentials per se, but items that held sentimental value for me stowed away in the back of the closets. I brushed it off initially, thinking maybe I just misplaced them or Macy might have shifted them, during one of her cleaning sprees. But then I caught her. One evening I walked in to find her in the midst of a full-blown photo shoot setup, snapping pictures of one of my items, and my heart sank. I questioned her immediately, and the reality was worse than I could have ever imagined. She was trying to sell it online. The dots connected, and my missing items probably suffered the same fate. When confronted, Macy responded nonchalantly that she needed the money and thought it would be okay to sell some of my, quote, junk, since I never use it. Her audacity was staggering. Instead of addressing her financial woes head-on and potentially securing a job, she opted to sell my stuff without even consulting me. I was seething, and I retreated to our bedroom trying to process everything. From her demeanor, it was clear that she knew that she had overstepped, yet she seemed indifferent, continuing with her photo shoot as it was business as usual. That night, as I lay in bed, it dawned on me. The woman I'd once fallen deeply in love with was simply unrecognizable, and not only did she disregard my feelings about the parties, but she was now blatantly disrespecting my personal space and belongings completely. I felt used, and it was apparent she viewed me as nothing more than a shelter and a financial crutch. The next morning, waking up to an empty house and a cold pang of dread washed over me. On the dining table was a brief note from Macy saying that she had stepped out for the evening. It wasn't long before I realized some cash was missing from my wallet. Enough was enough. Determined, I immediately headed out, purchasing brand new locks for both the front and back doors. Upon my return, I wasted no time in changing them. As I packed her clothing and a few personal items into a bin, each folded shirt, a trinket, Felt like closing chapters of a book I once thought would be a lifelong journey. When Macy returned, she found herself locked out, with her knocks growing frantic as I opened the door to hand her items, informing her it was over and she's no longer welcome here because of her actions. Oh boy. She was livid. Her tears mingling with accusations and pleas, escalating to a point where neighbors called the police due to the ruckus. So, the officers arrived swiftly, hearing out both sides, and given that I was the sole homeowner and she had never contributed towards rent, they assisted in relocating her to a hotel for the night. As the night drew to a close, a mix of guilt washed over me. Was I too harsh on her? Maybe. But it was evident that if I had not acted, I'd have found myself in an even graver situation down the line. Final update. First and foremost, thank you everybody who's been following my story. This community has been an anchor during this time in my life. After the entire fiasco with Macy, she attempted to reach out a few days later. I saw her calls and messages, but I just could not bring myself to answer the phone. It wasn't out of spite or anger, but a need to protect my inner peace. Every interaction we had towards the end was marred with deception, demands, and an overarching sentiment of being used. I genuinely just wish her the best and hope that she finds her path, but I've recognized that I cannot be a part of that journey, This experience, harrowing as it was, has been an eye-opening one, and I've decided to take a break from the dating scene for a while. It's not out of fear, but more so to introspect and understand what I truly desire in a relationship. In the quiet moments of reflection, I realized that I have a tendency to give too much too soon. It's something that I need to work on. What this episode with Macy crystallized for me is the essence of partnership. Relationships should be about mutual growth, respect, and working in tandem. One person should not shoulder the weight of the relationship alone. I wanted a bond where both individuals strive, challenge, and elevate each other. I don't want a rerun of being the sole pillar, only to be chipped away gradually. Anyways, guys, I value your judgment. While I've come to terms with my actions, understanding different perspectives aids in growth. Thank you for being my soundboard. Comment number 1 from the story. Totally not the a-hole, OP. You had every right to, look out for yourself and take decisive action. Honestly, kudos for realizing early on that this relationship has not, headed in the right direction. Given Macy's behavior, your reaction does not seem extreme. She kinda had it coming if she was behaving so recklessly while living with you. Comment 2. I'm genuinely astounded by Macy's audacity. Selling somebody's belongings right in front of them and keeping the money, absolutely wild. OP, you're definitely not the a-hole in the situation. Macy's behavior was over the top. Comment 3. Everybody sucks here. Macy's continuous parties, money grabbing, and selling OP stuff is just beyond comprehension. But OP, throwing somebody out without a shred of notice, that's harsh. Especially somebody you loved. You could have provided her with a time frame to pack up and leave. Macy's actions were absolutely absurd. Leaving her high and dry on the streets was too much. Final comment. OP, you are the a-hole. Offering her a place to stay, then telling her she did not have to pay rent, it set a particular tone you probably didn't even realize you did. No wonder you got taken for a ride, dude. Jumping into the relationship without setting boundaries or expectations was a recipe for disaster, and you cooked the recipe to perfection. It's messed up to evict her without a notice, and they both rushed into living together without truly knowing each other and now are reaping the consequences.
So we just reviewed some of the comments, and guys, I'll be honest with you, it was about split 50-50. Some of the people were also saying how OP should not have kicked somebody out of the house without giving them a bit of warning. Let me know your sides with that. Do you agree OP went a bit too far, or do you think his stealing girlfriend deserved whatever punishment he saw fit? Drop your comments down below. Let's discuss that one, guys. We're about to jump into story number 2 of the day. And I'll go ahead and read the title for you. It's Am I the A-hole for deleting my micromanaging boss's files at work, leading her to a professional downfall? Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, this story is insane. You're going to want to stick to the end of it for the wild update number 3. It's going to blow your socks off. Let's jump into today's story number 2.
Hey everyone, I'm 26, female, and I've been working in sales at a paper company. For the last 3 years, honestly, the job's good. I have friends here and we've built a real rapport. My team's pretty solid and we often go on drinks after work, and it feels like a family for the most part, but as with any family, there's always that one person you cannot stand. For context, I have 2 managers. You see, Philip, he's really chill. Understands that we're all adults who can manage our own time and workload. He's like the cool uncle who trusts you to bring the car back by midnight, no questions asked. Then there's Lauren. Oh boy, where do I start? She's the epitome of a micromanager. Imagine the kind of person who would proofread your emails before you send them, or who thinks giving you the quote real-time feedback in the middle of a call with a client is okay. Yeah, she's that kind of manager. Well, the most egregious incident happened during our last quarterly team meeting. I had not quite hit my monthly goal for onboarding new clients, and honestly, it was a slow month for everybody. But I was the only one called out, in front of everyone, and Lauren said, "OP, your numbers are not where they need to be. I know you struggle getting numbers outside of work, but it's your job to make calls when you're here." Well, I was humiliated. She could have addressed it privately or even sent an email, but no, she went for the public shaming route. I wanted to clap back so badly, but if I know one thing about Lauren, it's that she has a knack for snappy, smart-butted answers that leave you feeling like an idiot. So I bit my lip and kept silent because, let's face it, I can't afford to lose this job right now, but this was just the tip of the iceberg. There's been countless other times where she's nitpicking over the most insignificant details of, well, it to imply that I'm not dedicated enough because I clock out right after 5 p.m. I've talked to Philip about it, and while he sympathizes, there's only so much that he can do without causing a rift between them. I've also subtly tried bringing it up with my coworkers, and while they agree that Lauren can be overbearing, nobody really wants to be the first to speak up. It's getting to a point where I dread coming to work. Not because of the job, but because of Lauren. Every email notification makes my heart race, wondering what she'll pick on next. I love everything about this job except for her. She's the metaphorical dark cloud of my otherwise sunny work environment, and I'm just worried it's going to escalate if I don't say or do something soon. Update number 1. Hey guys, I wish I could come back with some good news, but alas, it seems like I've won the worst boss of the year lottery. As most of you know, Lauren's been making my life a living hell at work. Strap in, folks, because it's going from bad to absolutely unimaginable. My younger brother is flying into town next week. You see, we're super close and rarely get to see each other due to our busy lives, so we're planning a full week of sightseeing and bonding, and I've put in time off requests 2 months in advance, ensuring I've done everything by the book. Last week, Lauren flat out denies it, and her reason was, and I quote, "we're short-staffed." Short-staffed? The week I want off is a slow one, and I checked with coworkers who aren't planning any time off. I was fuming. It felt like a targeted attack, and something calculated just to make my life miserable. I tried to maintain composure and confront Lauren. I asked her as respectfully as I could muster if there's any way to reconsider my time off given the circumstances, and she snapped back, and I quote, "I already gave you a reason. We're short-staffed, and that's the end of it. Now get back to work. I don't want to hear any more of this." I was flabbergasted and speechless and shaking with pent-up fury, and I just felt like I've been slapped in the face. I turned to Philip, but it was a dead end. He empathized, but said he could not override Lauren's decision, since she handles the scheduling part. So not only do I have to navigate the labyrinth of Lauren's ego every day, but now I have to tell my brother that our long-awaited plans have to be shelved. I called my brother, who was clearly disappointed but understanding, and he's still coming, but our week of exploring and catching up has been reduced to rush dinners, and perhaps a quick tour around town. If I can even manage to get off work on time, I'm not a vengeful person, but I'm at my wit's end. I've never felt so targeted or disrespected in my life. Is she power tripping? Is it a sick game to her? Why is she singling me out? Was it because of my sales? I can't shake the feeling that this is deliberate, and I'm worried it won't stop here. Update number 2. Hey everybody, back with another update, and I've got some wild news for you. Let me share. First of all, my brother's visit, while we could not do the grand sightseeing tour that we planned, we did manage to get some quality sibling time and, quick dinners, a movie, late-night chit-chats, making the best of a bad situation. I was thankful for the time that we had, but man, it could have been so much better if Lauren had not been such a control freak. So, about the office. Y'all remember how Laura denied my time off because we were, quote, short-staffed? Guess what? We weren't. The week was mundane as they come, and each email from her, ever so-called emergency meeting, felt like a slap to the face. It's been gnawing at me, guys. No, here comes the bombshell a week back. I needed managerial approval for some client documents, and Philip, the good manager, was out. That left me with Lauren. I went in her office and it was empty, but her laptop, the tempting piece of technology, was right there on her desk, wide open, unlocked. I don't know what got into me, but before I knew it, I was deleting files right off her laptop. And I mean a lot of them. Then I bolted, heart racing back to my desk, and the crazy thing, nothing happened. At least nothing obvious, but I've been noticing a change in Lauren. She looks like she's on the verge of a meltdown, stressed, disheveled, the whole 9 yards. It's like I've unleashed some sort of chaos in her mind, and she doesn't even know it was me. So here I am at this weird crossroads. On one hand, I feel like I finally gained some kind of petty victory, revenge over Lauren. But on the other hand, I've opened Pandora's box that I cannot close. Every ping from my inbox makes my heart skip a beat, and I keep expecting somebody to tap me on the shoulder any second now and say, "You're fired." Update number 3. Hey, the last time I updated you all, I was sitting on a powder keg. I've done something out of character, something extreme, deleting all the files from Lauren's laptop. I never imagined the repercussions would unfold as they did, but here we are. Strap in, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride. So 2 weeks ago, I noticed the tension in the office, and there were rumors swirling that a high-stakes corporate meeting was on the horizon. Something about onboarding a significant client that financial reviews and higher-ups needed. Little did I know Lauren was spearheading the meeting. The day of the meeting came, and Lauren left the office suited and booted, carrying her signature air of insufferable confidence, but something strange happened. She never returned. My instincts screamed that something was off, so I could not resist asking Philip, "Hey man, do you know what happened to Lauren?" She's seeking another profession, effective today." No further details, just a veil of secrecy, and then the office gossip mill kicked into high gear. I heard from multiple coworkers that Lauren had lost a big client and embarrassed the company in front of all the bosses. Apparently, she was disorganized and did not have crucial documents during the meeting. I could not help but feel guilt crashing over me. The missing files, the disorganization. It was all me. I was the saboteur who, she didn't know that she had. As much as I loathed Lauren, as much as she made my life a nightmare, I never intended for her to lose her job in this matter. I played the role of the surprised coworkers quite convincingly. A mix of Academy Award-level acting and genuine shock at how far-reaching the consequences of my actions have been. But internally, I was grappling with a moral dilemma. I wanted Lauren gone. Sure, but not like this. Lauren being gone means I can finally breathe at work, and I can look forward to clocking in without the dread of being micromanaged or publicly humiliated. So, I guess the question that I come to you guys for in this final update is simple, and it's lingering over my mind. Am I the a-hole? Did I get what I wanted at the expense of an ethical boundary? I took steps to improve my workspace, which selfishly has worked, but the method? I'll let you guys decide. Comment number 1 from the original post and update. Look, I get it. Working under a micromanaging boss sucks, but you've got to remember, Lauren's role as a manager is to make sure her team performs. If you're not hitting quarterly sale goals, that's on you. Her job is to push you to do better. That aside, you intentionally set somebody up to lose their job and did not even have the guts to confess it. You have no idea what Lauren's life is like, and now she's lost her career. That's next level messed up, OP. You are the a-hole. Comment 2. Yikes. This is one hot mess of a situation, no doubt. Lauren sounded like a nightmare. But what you did, way out of line. If Lauren has kids or dependents, then you've just affected them too, and that's seriously not cool. So as much as Lauren was an a-hole, you're no angel either. Everybody sucks here. Comment 3. I've had my share of awful bosses, and I always fantasized about some form of poetic justice. You actually went and did it. Bosses who treat their employees like crap deserve to lose their jobs. I say don't feel bad about it, OP. Don't listen to these other commenters. Lauren created that hostile environment. She's the one who's the a-hole, not you. Final comment. So, you acted impulsively and took away from her career. Honestly, if there were cameras in that office, you'd be the one packing your bags to get the heck out, not Lauren. Sure, she's a crappy boss and pretty, well, much a jerk, but you have to live with this guilt for the rest of your life now. You're lucky you did not get caught, but you are the a-hole all the way. I wish I knew what paper company you worked at, so I could send an anonymous tip about this thread, because I want you to get caught.
So we're kind of stuck in a path with this story, because a lot of the commenters were saying how OP was out of control because the boss was just being a boss, and a boss is not required to be your friend. A boss is there to make sure everything runs according to the business so it flows properly. And there were also people taking up for OP saying, nah, don't worry about that. The boss was a jerk, and she deserved to have what happened happen to her. I do want to know your thoughts on this one, guys, so go ahead, drop your comments in our comment section downstairs. My name's Mr. Reddito, and this is Mr. Reddito's Revenge channel, where every story has some sort of karma or revenge attached to it. For daily videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.